Lonnie, can you talk us through the sort of order to cash reconciliation process, and how does Blue Onion create efficiencies around month end close?
Yeah.
And then what types of, if I'm on the sitting as the controller or the on the accounting team, what kind of outputs am I seeing, and what are the next steps for me to use Blue Onion to then help me reconcile my financial statements?
Yeah, totally. Love that question. So let's talk about reconciliation, what that looks like, and then I'll answer the second half of your question. So reconciliation for us is done at the transaction level. So that's something that's a little bit unique to us, I think, in this market is we are connecting directly to the order management system. So Shopify, Amazon, whatever it may be, we're going to connect there and find an order. We're also, and this is where I think we distinguish ourselves in this reconciliation world, is we have direct APIs that we've built to the payment processors. And so what that allows us to do is never guess about what happens directly at the payment processor, right? Like, what are the fees? What are the chargebacks that happen? Are they holding back a reserve because they lost the details to your bank account or something like that, right? And then finally connecting to the bank. So all of those items are stitched together at a transactional level. So kind of in an audit, right? We have support for all of your sample-based testing kind of out of the box, right? We can trace and vouch all those transactions from birth to settlement, and give you all of that information on a daily basis. And so that's really what reconciliation looks like for us. And so then what we can do is having a base of reconciled transactions gives us a lot of different information that we can present to you as a controller or accounting manager, right? Is we propose journal entries for those people who may be on QuickBooks or Xero or things like that. So that spreadsheet you mentioned that no one really understands how to use, we've replaced that entire spreadsheet and created those journal entries for the company automatically. And again, like I said, we did that daily. So you can do daily closes, you can do weekly closes, or you can close your month end on the first day after the end of the month, right? And so that time to close can really contract as far as the AR side of your business looks, right? But on top of that, we also have, for NetSuite customers, like you mentioned, Lonnie, a lot of those already have Soligo, Boomi, FarApp, SuperSync, whoever it is bringing transaction volume over. The problem they're feeling is, I have all these transactions in my NetSuite and I don't know how to match them to a batch deposit. And I'm hiring a full-time hire to deal with this reconciliation. We actually have a platform that automates that entire thing, grabs those customer deposits or cash sales, pushes them back in as a deposit automatically into NetSuite, and does that reconciliation for you. So we really have things that can kind of meet people in very early stages, a little bit more complex stages. And then what we've seen lately really is, as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, maybe some of these ERPs can't handle the volume of transactions that you're trying to pump into them, right? And so for NetSuite, what we've done is put together what we're calling summary financials, where we can just basically book those daily summary journal entries, record that GL impact into your GL, and then have you with a hyperlink come back over to our application and still get the transaction level data in our system. So we can kind of have different levels of support depending on where you are in your maturity as a company.
Yeah, it's great. The transaction level detail, is key for us on the audit side when we're, making selections, wanting to trace a transaction from start to finish, right? I think that's going to be really helpful for companies, right?
Yeah.
When they're investigating variances, investigating a specific transaction, and really digging into it. And you said you're shortening the close time, right? So I guess certain clients of yours have, if they start with a close of 2 weeks, is that something you could do, is kind of really bring that close down to, on the revenue side, down to, even said a day, which is great to hear.
Yeah. So on the revenue side, obviously we recognize we're only a piece of the puzzle here for a lot of companies, but at least on the revenue side, we're hearing people, spending, depending on their transaction volume and the number of portals they're going to get, payout reports, all that type of stuff. From the time of setting up their reconciliation, identifying issues, removing issues, and then finally getting to close books, it can take them, on a pretty sizable company, right, like you said, 2 weeks or so.
Right.
Most of our companies, I think last I looked at a report, it's like 98% of our companies have their data fully available for them on the second business day. So that's fully journal entry, proposal, data, fully reconciled, all that. So yeah, we can really condense that.
Right. Yeah, it's great. With e-commerce businesses growing complexity. We're seeing companies in multiple stores, multiple channels. They're, might be on a subscription model. They might be receiving prepayments or selling gift cards, right? That all kind of leads to complexity around deferred revenue. Does Blue Onion software kind of handle those types of transactions as well? And how do the outputs change, with respect to just maybe a more cash-based sort of business?
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And yes, we have things to support all of those that you mentioned, and I'll kind of go through a couple of them as examples. But again, that's kind of the benefit of us seeing hundreds of different companies that we integrate with. We hear customer feedback that says, "Hey, I have a subscription product over here, a digital subscription product, but I also sell merchandise. How can you support me?" Different things like that. So we do have sort of a SaaS based product where we can do time-based revenue recognition rather than fulfillment-based revenue recognition, all sort of in with an eye toward ASC 606 revenue recognition rules, right? And then for gift cards, that's actually one of the main benefits that people don't really expect to get with us, but we actually have an entire subledger for every gift card that they have in their system, right? And not only do we have that subledger for balance-based reporting, we also have activity-based reporting. So when gift cards get redeemed, we give you journal entries for that. A common problem we see for companies is their customer service team just issues gift cards without any transaction, right? We've worked with our API with Shopify to actually identify those transactions and propose a journal entry that says, here's a gift card. We call it gift card expense because it could be marketing expense. It could be a lot of like replacement expense, whatever you may be using that gift card for. But we're at least raising that to the attention of the team to say, hey, you had $20,000 of gift cards that were just issued this month for no reason, and you wouldn't have known it otherwise, right? And so helping with some of those kind of, I wouldn't call it full-on controls, but at least some alerts to say, hey, there's some stuff going on here that you might want to know about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly important, right, to factor in not only your main revenue streams, but also what else are you selling, right? What other channels you're using, and it just the account, there's complexities on the accounting side, which you're not always thinking of from the sales or marketing team, right? Which
yeah.
is interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's really something that we've tried to build out is all of the, you asked, like, how does that look like from a cash-based customer versus, an accrual-based customer? We've built a lot of those things to sort of self-enable based off of the data, right? So when we see a pre-sale come in, we are ready to build a deferred revenue balance from that, right? So we're already helping you kind of get to that place. And like you said, if you're in that spot where you're one key hire, right, you don't have a team of people to help you kind of build out these new processes and can really help you scale for longer with that one key hire.
Right. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of benefit in using Blue Onion if you're an e-commerce business. I would love to hear a success story. You kind of talk about the integration process being seamless or user friendly for your customers, and then increasing operational efficiencies, month-end close pretty quickly. Do you have a success story you could share?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a lot. Just thinking through your question, I just had a call with a customer last week who I've known for almost 3 years now, and kind of has gone through that entire process that you outlined at the beginning, Lonnie, of like, we met them first when they were using an outsourced bookkeeper, and we have relationships with a lot of those companies. We help them do their work, right? And so we met them through that. They made that one key hire and brought that in-house. And so we kept that relationship, and they actually use us for their in-house books still on QuickBooks today. And last week we met with them. They're almost done with their NetSuite implementation and are looking to kind of move into a phase where they'd be using that transaction-based reconciliation where we push deposits over into NetSuite. And I think that just really highlights the breadth of what we can do for e-commerce companies, right? And the fact that we've really tried to make ourselves available to you at all kind of touch points of your growth, so that you can always have a relationship with Blue Onion, but also always have this unified, reconciled data to live off of. So yeah, that was one that really popped in my mind when you asked that question.
Yeah, it's great. Love to hear it. And we're we have many clients that use the software, and we see it on the audit side, so we kind of understand how it works, and we see the increased efficiency, right? Yeah. Not only on the operational side, but on the audit side as well, and the transactional level detail, which makes things easier for us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's always a
Yeah,
fun one
really.
for me. It's having worked in regulated companies before, is someone just emailing and saying, "Hey, can you give my auditor access to Blue Onion?" And it just makes me. I was like, I wish I had this tool that I could just
Makes you smile, right?
do that.
Makes it easier,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, no, really appreciate the time today. I think that was super insightful. Looking forward to kind of learning, seeing what Blue Onion has in store for us in the future, and um, learning more about your business. So appreciate the time. If there's anyone listening that wants to learn more about e-commerce in general, or talk to Blue Onion and learn about what their business can offer, feel free to reach out to myself or Brian directly. Yeah, really appreciate the time again.
Cool. Thanks, Lonnie.
Thanks, Brian.